Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Williams. I'm the host of Voices Without Heirs, and today we have a very special guest, a fellow stand-up comedian, and she is much more than that, as you will find out. Please welcome the talented Dr. Laura Hayden.
Oh my, you used the doctor part. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Well, thank you, but I'm always apologizing because I'm PhD, I'm not MD, so I can't ever get anybody in prescription drugs. So I'm always apologizing for my higher education.
All right, so tell us about yourself. What give us a little background.
My PhD is actually in physical therapy, so I have a master's and a doctorate in physical therapy. I also have several undergraduate degrees unrelated to that: art, psychology, business, and liberal arts. As you stated before, I'm a stand-up comedian, and apparently I don't have any heirs. At least I don't have any children. I wouldn't say I don't have heirs. I just don't have children.
People over 50. I'm 58. I'm not going to ask you how old you are because I tried to reach out to one of your
That's all
friends to
right.
tell me how old you are. Huh?
That's all right. I would lie.
Okay, well, I asked one of your friends to reach out to you. I said, "Hey, you know her pretty well. Can you reach out to her? Can you tell me how old she is? And if you don't know, can you reach out to her?" And she flat refused to reach out to you to ask you what your age was. So I'm just going to assume she just said, "I think she's around your age." I'm going to assume that you are. I know you're over 50, so that's fine. But I want to know your story about not having kids. And after my first interview yesterday, child free versus childless. I just want to know if you ever heard about that or if that even has entered your mind and what category would you fall into?
I didn't know about that category, and I probably fall into a little bit of both, to be honest. I didn't not plan on having children, but I didn't. So it's something I always thought that was going to happen in my life, but it didn't happen. So I got busy doing other things. So
Well, you have reinvented yourself more than once, looking at your biography and everything. Which version of you died quietly so the current one could exist?
I don't think anything dies quietly. um, I think we go into it. I was extremely introverted when I was younger,
Hmm.
and the world is far more insular now, especially since COVID. We've learned to do things, staying at home, working from home. But growing up, like you said, I'm no longer 25 anymore. If you want to live in the world, at least in the world that we knew prior to COVID, you needed to be out in the world if you wanted to be successful. You couldn't really stay home and do everything from home. So I purposely went after at least faking myself as an extrovert so that I could probably be more successful in the world because it's really hard if you can't engage with people. So I
Yeah.
purposely started waiting tables because it made more money than filing in college. And I went to college forever, as you probably heard from my.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I went to college forever, and then all my regular customers, when I was waiting tables, like, "Oh my God, you're so funny." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. What do you want?" And they're like, "No, you'd be a funny stand-up." And then I got married, and my husband's like, "Oh, you'd be really funny. You're really funny. You'd be a good stand-up." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. What do you want?" And then I heard it so often about that people thought I was funny that I was like, okay, funny. I always wanted to be funny. I never thought I was, but I was like, funny people have friends. I want to be funny. And so for my master's, we had to give an enormous amount of presentations.
Hmm.
And every time I gave a presentation, my classmates were very excited because they're like, "Oh, it'll be funny." I'm like, "Nah, not funny. I'm talking about spinal meningitis or geriatric rehab or, pediatric, you know, birth defects or something." And they're like, "Oh, you'll make it funny somehow." I'm like, okay. But anyhow, they nominated me to give the commencement speech. And I credit that as my first stand-up gig because, as you know, that's a really boring speech. And generally speaking, people
Hmm.
are just like, "Shut up. We just want to go home and have cake." So afterwards, people are like, "Oh my God, you're such a natural up there." So every New Year's, and now it's right after the New Year's, every New Year's, instead of pretending to give up something, I try something new. And 25 years ago, I flipped a coin, heads came up. I took a stand up class, expected to prove to my husband I wasn't funny and move on with my life. But here I am 25 years later, about 6,000 shows, 41 countries. And apparently, there's no 12-step program to get us to stop doing stand up.
No, I don't think so. So stand up lasted 25 years, right? Is that
Yes.
how long you've been doing it? Well, My question is then, did the marriage last 25 years?
I was married for 28. Stand-up definitely changed the dynamics of my marriage because, as you know, it's all consuming a bit.
Yes.
And I think it helped evolve me as a person. And I'm not necessarily, I don't know if my husband enjoyed the person that I evolved into as much.
Gotcha. No, it stand up changes you. I
I
mean, you
got
can't
married fairly young, and I was a very shy, introverted, quiet, submissive woman. And now you have this.
in your 20s, what lie did you believe about success that cost you more time?
I think I believed that you needed more education. And I believe in education highly. I honestly do. I think that's the only way to evolve a society. If we want our society to be better and evolve into something better, I don't think everybody has to be doctorates. I don't think everybody has to be, but you have to be able to make informed decisions about your life. I think that people would not have lost their savings and their homes as much as they knew if they knew what they were investing into when we had the whole fallout
Hmm.
with the housing and everything. If everybody knew the consequences of what they just said, oh, if you put this you sign here, you can have a house. Oh, okay, I want a house. If they knew what they were signing, I think people would have made better decisions about some of that. They wouldn't have lost everything. Same thing with voting and politics. If we don't understand and comprehend what we're deciding, I think you can't make informed decisions. I mean, I think we're very much a soundbite society now, and we don't make informed decisions. We just see a picture and we like the way they look, and we think they said that, but we don't even know if they said that because AI can create anything. And so, if we want to improve our society into a better place, we can only be as high as our lowest denominator. So I believe highly in education, but I don't think education equals success. But I do think that we need a certain level of education. If people can't read, then they can't make informed decisions about their life, period.
100%.
What people are thinking is news is actually editorial, which is a different thing. The news is just the facts, and then you make
Hmm.
a decision. Most all of our news now is editorial. It's basically whatever, you know, newscaster or news entity, what they want you to think about this information rather than what here's the information, make a decision. And it's sad because our minds are being focused in a way that whatever their agenda is, and it's
Oh,
not
well,
it's not
no,
it's editorial, it's not news.
no,
And so
you're absolutely right. No wonder why you went to school. You're so smart.
well, I don't know, but there was a period of time when the news was like, here's the news. And then at the very end of the news, it says editorial. Now, there's no thing that says editorial. It's all editorial, but people think it's the news, but it's not the
Hmm.
news. I mean, it is current events, but it's current events focused through whatever that entity wants you to think about those current events, as opposed to here's the current events, think what you will. So, anyhow, so that's why I believe in being educated. I don't necessarily think formal education is necessary for success or viable humans or engage in society, but I do think that we have to have a certain level of, like I said, you can only operate as your lowest common denominator. So if you have people that can't make informed decisions about their life, then they're living, based on what other people tell them. And then we're not really evolving as a society. That's all. Um, as
No,
far as
that's a
success goes, I'm pretty sure I have many degrees, and I'm pretty sure my manicurist makes more money than I do. So it's what we value in our society.
which pivot scared you more than you admitted out loud and why? What pivot in your life?
Getting divorced was the worst ever. Getting divorced was ultimately extremely scary and awful. And and people who celebrate divorce, I don't think you were ever really married. If you're like, yay, I'm divorced, I don't think you were ever in it 100% because I would have rather died. I tell people I'm like, divorce is like dying without the benefit of dying. So I'm like, I would have rather died than get divorced, to be honest. I think that would have been better. My mother dying was really a big issue as well. Parents dying are a big pivot for you
Oh,
because
yeah.
you realize when your parents die, like the next one in line is you or one of your siblings. So it's like there's grandparents. You're like, oh, grandparents passed away, and then you're like and then parents are like, oh, well, the next person to go is probably me or one of my contemporaries. So
or what decade did your affinity for sweaters and shoes, not sweaters, but scarves and shoes? I never seen you without a scarf. And no matter what, I mean, your shoes are so like up there and high. I feel like you have big bunions on the bottom of your feet because I don't know how I can barely walk up the stages. I need help sometimes getting up stages. If there's no handrail and see you go up on there with 7-inch pumps, it's just, and then move back and forth on the stage is just phenomenal. But I want to know when all that started in your life, and did that start before comedy or after comedy?
Before comedy, I worked in a shoe store when I was in high school, and I
Which
think
one?
CHW, CH Baker, not CHW, CH Baker. So I worked in a shoe store. So I always liked pretty shoes, and I mean, the shoe thing was kind of, it's been an evolution. I worked in a shoe store, and I've always liked pretty shoes. So then I had to discount. So you get an employee discount, you start buying shoes. And then when I started doing I always loved beautiful shoes. I'll just say that up front, as far as I can remember as a child, even like as a child, I was like beautiful shoes, always attracted. And shoes are a benefit because shoes always fit. No matter what size you are, your shoe stays pretty much, it fits. So you can be size 10, you can be size 17, 20, 24, you can be size 2, and you still have the same shoe size. So it's always fun
Well,
to, well, it does
well,
change. If you're really heavy, your feet get bigger. But
I worked at Kenny Shoes, and we had to, it was a mall shoe store. I don't know if you remember that, but we had to actually get down on our knee. I had to wear a shirt and tie and a jacket, and we had to get down on a knee, and we had to put the shoe on a person.
that's
Now,
what I did too.
I was told very quickly that you never ever tell a woman that she's not a size 7 when obviously she's not a size 7. We need to go up because her foot is so wide. So what
Yes.
the old school salesman, in fact, in Kenny Shoes, then we were on commission. So the old school salesman would say, he'd say, hey, you come back here, you take that shoe and you tell them that, we just got in a new stock and I need to go back through it. If you can give me a minute, because you're right, these are 7s, but they're not really made. They're smaller than a 7. So let me go in the back. It's going to take me a minute to get back there and get through that stock because we got a pallet in, but I can break it down. If you give me a second, I'll go back there and look. And then you go back and you go to the shoe stand and you take that shoe stretcher and you stretch that doggone shoe out and you walk around back there. And I didn't smoke at the time, but this guy would always go in the very back and have a smoke. He said you give it at least 4 to 5 minutes and that leather will hold just enough to put it on her fat foot, take it off of her and put it back in the box and sell it to her. By the time she gets home, that thing's going to be so tight. But you know what? Doesn't matter. She's going to wear them anyway. So I learned a lot about women then.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you can't, if your foot's big, your foot's big. But yeah, it does. But we had the shoe stretcher too. We'd be like, go back there and stretch his shoes. But it's not as embarrassing to ask for a size 9 as it is to ask for a size 24 jean. It's just like
I get it.
I wear a 9 shoe, but I still wear a 4 jean. It's a different thing. So the shoe thing always stuck. But then when I started doing comedy, because I'm not a natural extrovert, when I first started doing comedy, I used to dress up like head to toe, like I was ready to go out night clubbing, like
Hmm.
head to toe, like, even if it was like a dumb open mic and it's a coffee shop, it's an open mic, everybody's like ponytails, jeans, sweatshirts. And I look like I was going to Hollywood on a Friday night, like clubbing because
Was that distracting for the crowds for you? Because some people
no,
say that, no.
I don't think so. I always just, I wasn't confident. So I needed it was a costume. I wasn't confident, but my clothes, they knew what was going on. So it was a costume. I wore clothes that were super confident to make up for my lack of confidence. But then as I started doing comedy longer, I was like, I don't need to be this over the top. And then I started kind of showing up like everybody else. And then people are like, what happened to the hair, the shoes? And so the shoes stuck. So no matter what show, I always wear fancy shoes, always. I've only done one show ever, actually 2 shows ever in tennis shoes, and that's because they lost my luggage. So,
But would you do a shoeless comedy show? Shoeless, where you had to go on and in your
I
feet.
could now. I've actually done nudist colonies, but I didn't. You don't have to be naked to perform there. They allow it and they maybe encourage it, but I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. ever.
I, you know what, I always tell him, and I won't say his name, but I always tell him, I say, man, you must be one confident dude
Yeah.
because there's no way in hell that I mean, was that weird looking at a bunch of naked people
Well,
while you perform?
no, you have to understand my day job. I'm a physical therapist, so I see people without shirts, and I've seen. I mean, granted, I don't see genitalia by accident. Sometimes it happens, but I see people without shoes and pants pulled up. I see more flesh than most people do, and with my day job, and human bodies are not that pretty.
You think? You think?
There's a reason clothes are pretty. Clothes come in pretty colors and nice fabrics. I'm like, there's very few supermodels in the world. I'll just do that right now. And
I take a
so
shower with the light off.
if you want to be naked, I don't care. Like, I'm not bothered by be naked. I don't care. I'm not going to be naked, but if you want to be naked, I don't care. I don't find it distracting at all. But yeah, I could do a show barefoot now. It wouldn't bother me at all.
What
I
when
would.
did that change? Because you said
Um,
now, when did that change? What year would you have not have done it?
I probably wouldn't have done it 15 years ago, but in the last 10 years, I could perform it in my pajamas now and it'd be like, okay, let's just do this. Like it's not I don't need that external confidence as much anymore. Now I'm just like, you're either gonna like me or you're not. I've done this enough that like I know what's supposed to work, and if you're not laughing, it's a good chance it's you.
Do you have any nieces and nephews?
I do.
You do. Okay, so you've got that. Are they close? Do you have a relationship with them?
Oh yeah, I have I have four nieces that I'm very close to. Oh God, I'm a great aunt, which sounds even older than grandmother. This is frightening. The last month I've got not how many children I have. In the last month I got asked how many grandchildren I have. I'm like, oh, this is I've entered
Wow.
this. I'm here now. Okay, okay. Now, granted, one of them I don't think he was very smart. He asked me how many kids I had, and I said none. He goes, well, then how many grandkids? And I'm like,
Well, yeah.
um, not the smartest stick in the drawer, I guess. Sharpest knife in the drawer. My niece, how many do I have? Four, two. I have 10 great grandnephews and grandnieces.
Okay. All right. Well, here I'm going to lead into. So you have out of your 10 great grandnieces, right? Grandnieces and grandnephews. Did I say that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So somehow or another, you disappear and they have a kid and they want to look up my great great aunt, Laura. Find a box and it has one movie, one song, one book, and 1 year in it that would give them a general idea of who you are. What are those things?
Well, one song, it would have to be probably by Prince. Um, it's hard to pick a favorite Prince song, isn't it? I might have to go with Sexy MF.
And
Uh,
what does that tell them about you?
that I like it a little funky.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
because there's some good horns in there. It's a good jazz song. Even without the words, it's a good song.
Okay.
Um, movie would be hard. There's a movie. Probably, if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with Room with a View.
Okay. All
Who
right.
doesn't who doesn't love a period piece rom-com with great costumes and great actors? I mean,
Right.
I don't know if you know the movie, but it has amazing actors in it. It has do you know the movie? Daniel Day-Lewis,
Hmm.
Helen Bonham Carter, um, lady that just died. Oh, I love her so much. She was in Hogwarts. Anyhow, just an amazing cast of actors. Period piece, rom com, funny.
What would that tell your long relative?
That I'm a
Uh,
romantic. I like costumes and great acting and a little bit of humor. Book. You know what? Maybe Jurassic Park, the book, not the movie.
okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because there's books that have made a phenomenal difference in my life, but that one, because basically Jurassic Park, the book, is just a modern day version of Frankenstein.
Hmm.
And the main concept of Frankenstein and also Jurassic Park, besides it's fun that it's dinosaurs, is the fact that who has the right to create life? And if you do create life, are you going to take responsibility for that life?
Hmm.
And if you don't take responsibility for that life, what's the chaos that ensues? And the concept behind it is, if you have that power, do you actually wield it? Do you use it? And if you use it, then are you taking responsibility? So it kind of juts into this whole, like, we get things now off the internet, but we didn't have to like work for it, if you will. There's a period of time where you had to work for the knowledge that you have. You had to work for the experience that you have. And now you can just Google it and you get it automatically. You didn't have to, you didn't have to go to, plumbing school to learn how to change out your dish, your garbage disposal. Now you can go to YouTube and do it yourself. And so do you value the experience and knowledge that, your plumber has? Because, oh yeah, I can do that myself. I mean, it even happens in the medical field. Well, I went to Dr. Google. Well, it's a little insulting to somebody who went to medical school for 16 years and has 30 years of experience. They're like, I went to Dr. Google and I think I know as much as you. Well, you know something, but I don't think you know as much as you think you do. So the deep concepts behind that, I mean, and there's a movie there's a line in Jurassic Park, and I actually think they say it in the movie, where it says, if you have the knowledge, like if you get a black belt in karate, you have the ability to kill somebody with your hands. But the chances are you won't, because you value the experience and the knowledge that it took you to get to the place that you can kill somebody with your hands. You would actually never wield that power. So same thing with creating life. Would you wield that power without the responsibility? So, and I think that plays a part in many, many, many aspects of life. You can do it instantaneously, but did you look at the consequences of what that took place? And I think we're going to find more of that with AI. And, as the internet and everything takes over our lives, yes, we can do things instantaneously. I mean, it even gets into cyberbullying. I mean, if you actually had to bully somebody in person, you probably would taper down what you were saying, as opposed to like, I can do it through the internet and you'll never know who I am. And like, I can be vicious. If you had to do it in person, would you be that vicious? So I just think that if you extrapolate that whole concept, it plays a big part in how we view the world. Anyhow, that's how I took it. So that's, it's not just about dinosaurs, but it's a fun book.
From what your description is in the book, it would tell them a lot about you, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to take responsibility for your choices, and know what that is. Not just choose, but choose wisely. 1989.
Oh, that was a good year. That was a real good year.
It was really kind of pre-internet computer, like pre-cell phone. I mean, they all that is
89. Fax
89.
machine was the latest technology. Okay, I get it. Getting back to what you mentioned just a second ago about the internet experts. Been to school, you've gone to medical school, you've done things.
I always try to explain with them that information off the internet, you have to look at the source. Was it a primary source? I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't read it from the New England Journal of Medicine. Mm-hmm. They read it from somebody's, again, editorial take on this, or anecdotal. This is what I did. One person alone did this, and they had this result. So you need to look at the source. You need to also look at, is it sponsored in some way by somebody making money? So if somebody's making money and they want you to do this, then they have an agenda that's not yours. So look at where the source was. If it was one person, like, this is my history, that's not unimportant, but it's not necessarily medical knowledge. It's one person's journey, which does have merit, but it's not necessarily means it's going to work for you, because you're not that person. So I always tell them to look at the source. I also, try to explain to them why what they're telling me might work or might not work based on circumstances that is that person. And also the source in which they got the information. Are they selling you something, or is it pure information? And, where did it come from? And what's the agenda? Because people don't actually, unfortunately, it goes back to education again. I mean, I have a guy that, this happens. There's a guy that he's the husband of a good friend of mine. And he is very he's opened a clinic that sells all the high-end modalities that are supposed to make you, well and healthy forever. And he based all his, he's got red light, he's got oxygen, he's got lasers, he's got stem cells, everything. And he's always telling me, well, this works. And then he gives me what he thinks is research. And I told him, I'm like, this isn't actually research. This is anecdotal based on people using it, which is how research starts. I said, but it's not actually research. When you do research, there's a blind study and a study, and people don't know what's having on, and there's a certain amount of time and people and, subjects and test protocols and then analysis and then follow through. I'm like, that's research. When one person uses it and they got better, that's anecdotal personal journey, which does have merit. But, again, so when people talk to me, I try to explain to them the difference between, are they selling you something, or is this actually medical research, or is it one person's journey? And those are different things. And not that any of those all have merit, but they're different things, and you have to quantify them accordingly. So
During the pandemic, we ran into that a lot. And me, myself, I needed to get a kidney transplant. And I remember
that's crazy.
doctor said that, that vaccine is bad. Then you're like, are you serious? So how did you handle that period of time, your comedy and your day job?
Well, comedy, as you know, basically stopped.
Zoom shows.
I did so many Zoom shows that I was just like, I can't, like, so we were having difficulties because I don't think I've Zoomed, and I don't think I've done a Zoom show in 3+ years, and you're like, I'm like, where's the buttons again? Before it was like, just dial it up, Zoom. I got to the point where, like, I can't do any more Zoom shows. Like, because you're bored, you're at home, so you do like 6 a day, and you're like, but I'm like, I can't do anymore. Day job, I found out, I thought I was important. Apparently I'm not important. I didn't work for 18 months.
Well, a lot of people didn't work for that long. So
yeah, no. So apparently I was not important. I started treating people kind of, on the side. People would be like, oh my gosh, they knew I was a physical therapist. So I started going to people's homes a little bit, and I started doing Zoom PT, which I didn't even know you could do, but I have done it since then a couple times, via the internet. We can have a meeting. And so I think it changed the dynamics. Like, you don't have to do everything in person, which is fine.
Oh, it's pretty much how I meet with my kidney doctors
and I think it changed that, like, everything doesn't have to take place in person, but the pandemic definitely changed a lot of things in the world. But now there's more people that have, medical conspiracy. Those always existed, but there's more. And I'd have to say that I'm actually one of them, to be honest. I'm not sure. I don't think everything that I think there's a lot of questionable things in the medical field as we know it.
I remiss having a good old argument. Now there are no arguments, because if I say, 2 days ago it was raining, and you say 2 days ago it was sunny, we can't argue about that anymore, because we'll just pick up the phone and say, Google, what was the weather 2 days ago? And there's no argument. It's over,
Well, I think I think society is missing sophisticated debate, if you want to put it that way. And I'm moving beyond just medical, but it's like, politically, like, there was a period of time where, like, you believed your ideologies were more left and mine are more right, or vice versa, and we could have a debate about things, and like maybe have an understanding of that person, or maybe have it like oh, okay, I see where you're coming from, kind of thing. And now it's just like, it's black or white, or you're not an American. Like, and I miss, like, there's so much hate, and it seems like almost all arguments are like that now. It's just like, you either believe what I believe and I'm right. Well, maybe you're not right. Maybe you believe you're right, but maybe you're not right. And that person thinks they're right too. I mean, it happens in religion, it happens in politics, but there didn't seem to be so much black and white and hate. Before it was like more, a blending of like, okay, like, I see where you're coming from, kind of thing. Now it's just like, and, I believe it's, based a lot on our political kind of agendas that has been pushed. Like, you either believe what I believe, or you're not an American.
I feel like politics and a lot of things in our life, one, along with the internet, have turned into a more of a sports type mentality. Because reason why I say sports, you can see behind me, I have Raider stuff. I'm a football fan, but it doesn't control my life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
but before.
Yeah. And it's a shame, because that's not, again, how you, running a government. There's a lot of shades of gray, unfortunately. And, you have to make a lot of different entities work. whether, they're on this side or that side sort of thing. But it has taken, I agree with you 100%. That's a very smart analogy about there can only be one winner. There can only be one. And it's like, unfortunately, it's not a sports team. It's our entire country. And we have to deal with a lot of agendas, and we have to make them all coexist together. And not everybody's going to believe or get along, but somehow we have to make this work. And I think we're breaking down.
So if you had a choice, start over and start your life again right now, to go back right now to not 1989, but if you had a chance to like just all of a sudden be born again today, at what age would you want to come into this world at, and what piece of information would you want to bring with you now to that new Laura at whatever age she decides to come back in?
Oh God,
if that question even makes sense.
If I could take everything I know now.
Not everything, just one. You can only take one thing now, and you can come back if you want to come back in 2026 as a 27-year-old with one piece of knowledge that you can take now and remember. What would that knowledge be?
I might come in at like 33.
Okay, that's fair.
And nothing's really that important.
So that's what you would take with you. It's just nothing's really that important.
Because remember all the things that you thought were so important, and you're like, yeah, it's not that important.
Me and my wife live here alone. We have a 4-bedroom house. We'll look at a room and say, no, we need that. We need that. We need that. And then came a family member needing to move in temporarily. And all of a sudden we didn't need any of that shit anymore. So we threw it all out.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm on a quest right now. Something must leave my house every day. That's my,
How many pairs of shoes do you actually have?
Oh God, I don't even know. But I sold a pair today. That's one of the boxes my phone's sitting on right now. I sold it on Poshmark. It's leaving today. When I got divorced and had to move, I had around 400 pairs, I think.
So you could literally go 4 years without wearing the same pair of shoes.
Correct. I know I don't have that many now. I honestly don't know, but if I had to guess, it's probably about 280, maybe.
Wow. So are you like a mini and near my era? So this name shouldn't be something. Is it Imelda Marcos? Was that the one that had all the shoes that had like 7,000 pair of shoes?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you would say that, but I don't really, I'll wear the same shirt or jacket. I have jackets and shirts and stuff that I've had for 20 years that I'll still wear. So I'm not an expendable person. I wear something, I use something till it's done. Like I keep it until it's done. And so I'm not one of these like new, throw it out kind of people. I'm definitely, but that's why in my life during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I could probably go my life without ever buying another thing. So I've actually tried to buy nothing. And now I'm on.
How's that working out for you?
It's actually great. Yeah. Unless it's necessary, I try not to buy anything. I mean, I wouldn't say I've been 100%, but I used to just I think a lot of people just aimlessly shop. They shop and they see something and they just buy it. And like now I consciously go, do I really need this? And I'm like, no, I don't. So I'm not going to buy it. I don't need this. I mean, it's something shiny and pretty and you're like, yay. But then I'm like, yeah, I actually don't need this. So I'm not going to buy it. But in the moment you're like, oh, buy something, buy. And I'm like, I don't need this. I'm not buying it. So it's actually worked out pretty well. I buy very little now unless it's necessary. And I look around my house and I'm like, I can get rid of so much stuff. And I'm like, so every day something must leave.
My mother, she was a purse fanatic. She loved purses. My mom passed. We went in her closet and there were so many purses and shoes just in the boxes and closet. How many are you going to unworn pair of shoes are they going to find in your closet?
Oh, I don't have a pair of shoes that are unworn.
Oh, you've worn all of them.
I've worn everything I've ever bought at least once.
You have?
Yes. I don't have any, purses are fun too. I'm a woman. We have purses. But I don't have as many purses as shoes, but I don't have a pair of shoes I haven't worn.
Okay.
Everything I've ever bought, I've worn at least once. I used to do a lot more shows. And so I actually have people show up at my shows and they want to see what shoes I have on. It's become a thing. I mean, when I walk in, they're like, I want to see the shoes. So it's become kind of thing. So when I was doing more shows, particularly at a regular place, when I was running a weekly show, I felt the need to kind of wear a different pair of shoes every week because people were coming to see my shoes. And so I definitely always had that ready to go. But now I don't, I don't run a weekly show, and I don't do, I don't do 5 shows a week anymore. I mean, I do 1 or 2, sometimes 3, but the pandemic sort of changed that. Plus I've been working a lot more day job. Anyhow, it just evolves. That's all.
Have you ever thought of taking one pair of your shoes to a show and selling it as merch?
I've thought about having a brand if I ever got famous enough of, I think I would call them Hayden's.
I thought if you sold a pair of shoes that like one of the ones that you've worn one time.
Yeah, I could, but it becomes a kind of thing. They're like, well, women, we have to try it on, and just like,
Gotcha.
anyhow.
No, your market is men. You wore
Yeah.
these shoes. Your market is men. If these dudes will pay, $29.99 a month for a pair of underwear, just think what they pay for a pair of shoes.
There's actually a neurobiological reason for shoe fanatics. I can't explain other fetishes, but in your brain, the cerebral cortex, the wiring in your brain, when light touch sensation, there's a mapping. Where if you touch here, it fires in your brain somewhere. If you touch here, it fires in your brain someplace. In your brain, the sensory cortex for light touch or sensation, genitalia and feet are next to each other in the brain. So there's some people that the wiring, weeds are growing on the neighbor's lawn. So in your brain, genitalia and feet can have a cross pattern in your brain. And so people like feet, ooh, that excites.
That turns on the other sensor.
Yeah, because there's a crossover. Some people there's a wall, but some people there's a little crossover. So there's actually a neurobiological reason for foot fetishes. Everything else, they have other reasons for. But that actually has a reason for why people have foot fetishes. That can be triggered because of your brain wiring. So there you go, foot fetishes. You're not that freaky.
Wow. Okay. Give it up for Dr. Laura educating us all on that one. I was like just sitting there listening, like, man, this is fantastic. I am learning a lot today. Saying it's true. You interview smart people, you get smarter.
Or you get nonsense. The scarves happened because I worked in a French restaurant, and my very good friend is French, and French people wear scarves all the time. And they're always like, they wrap them around and it looks like this, and they wrap them around and it looks like that. You asked me about that. And so my French friends started giving me scarves when I was in my 20s. And then I was like, well, I got to start wearing scarves because I have scarves. And then it became like a thing because I'm always cold. So it kept me warm. And then now that I'm older, Nat hides your neck.
I got you. When did you start wearing it on stage? Do one without the other. You don't do either one. You go on stage all the time. You have a scarf on. And
I don't always have a scarf on stage. I always have fancy shoes. I don't always have a scarf. It has to do.
I've never seen you without the scarf. I can honestly say that. I mean, not like we work together a lot, but I've, at least for the last 10 years, every now and then, and I have never seen you without a scarf. So I always
old school, you always want to draw attention to your face. So if you're on stage, you want to draw attention to your face. So if you have a pop of color on your face, it's pulling people to your face.
Exactly,
so
the eyes.
There's a psychology to that too. So if you're pulling people to your face, then they're concentrating here. They're not distracted there. So anyhow, somebody told me one time you're always supposed to wear. Women are supposed to wear a big piece of jewelry on the hand that they hold the mic to draw people's eyes to your face. So I think a scarf kind of does the same thing. I'm all, oh no, let me give a smart response.
No, not at all. I just want to know, like, you already told, if you vanish tomorrow and only one truth survived, what would the truth be? Kind of asked you this question earlier, but I asked you, like, what do you want them to know about you? But if there's one truth that anyone would know about you, you want, relatives or not, what is the truth that you want to leave everyone with?
It's all about love.
Love.
It's all about love. It's all about love. The things I say all the time, it's all about love, and time is money. That's the two things I say all the time. Time is money.
That is so true. All right, Laura, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. You don't know how much I appreciate it. And then hanging in there with me with the connection issue and everything.
Oh, that's my fault for being inept at it all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But I hope I understand you a lot more. And I'm so glad you were able to come on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I hope you had a decent time.
Of
And
course.
I will definitely be. Can you send me your links as going through
Yeah.
your bio on your
Mhm.
website? You have a Amazon where you've written a couple of books, and everyone, I didn't tell you she is an author. We didn't get to touch on that, but
Oh, I have a new book I'm going to finish this year too, because I like to change genres every single time I write a book.
you have
So,
two books listed on your website, which I want to put a link to them on the Amazon store for you to go purchase. But what are those two books about?
well, the first one's called Recipes for a Broken Heart, which is when I was going through my divorce. And it's a collection of recipes and then people's go-to recipe. And some of the stories I collected the stories, I didn't write them. And I edited them or I wrote them for the person or they wrote them themselves and I edited them. But some people's heartbreak stories are hilarious and some people are very tender. And it's not just love heartbreak. It could be parents or children or grandparents or our pet, a sports team. We had everything. But, you know, some people, the recipe, they want, when their heart is broken, they want mac and cheese. Some people want, you know, mashed potatoes. Some people want, you know, cocktails and Oxycontin. I'm not here to judge.
No, the other one, the other title, I'm really interested to know.
Well, I actually have another book that I wrote it under a false name of erotica, but I don't really want to talk about that one. And then I have the other book, What About Dick? And it's when I
That's
went
the one.
out, when I went out in the world of dating, there's a new phenomena about, you know, I'm old school. Some people called you up and they asked you out on a date and you met them in person. Now it's like, you know, swipe, swipe, swipe on the apps, and oh, here's a picture of my genitalia, and I'm like, I didn't ask for that. So some of them are hilarious, some of them are disgusting, some of them are very ooh la la, and it's a collection of unsolicited dick pics I received, and it starts very friendly and cute, and then I mean they are dick pics, but they're not all necessarily sex organs, but they're just random, but they were sent to me, and so I put together the story of how I got this, and then the picture, and it's actually really funny.
That
And
sounds actually hilarious, but I do have to ask, what is the oldest penis pic that you ever received?
I actually don't know because, like I said, none of these pictures were from people I know or of people I know.
So people just
So
saw you online and said, "Hey, check a look at this."
yeah, they sent it to me. So a lot of them, I mean, if I had to guess, probably some of them are in their 50s maybe, but I don't know because again I don't know any of the people that sent them to me, so I
I mean, was this text, or how did they get you to send you a penis pic?
well, it became like a joke on stage too, so I started actually giving out my phone number. I'm like,
Oh.
because I started doing it as a joke. I'm like, hey, you send me one, I'll send you one back. Like who I did I remember dating where they called you and sometimes you got flowers. You know, now it's like, here, this is for you. You know, I'm like, I liked flowers better. So it wasn't like, it would be like, you know, text, 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 you want to meet? And here, by the way, here's a picture of me. And I'm like, we can start with your face. I don't need to see this yet. Anyhow, so it just became a thing and I thought it was funny. So I put it in a book and I think it should sell at Spencer's. And it's actually hilarious. And it makes a great white elephant gift if anybody ever needs one, or you know, bachelorette parties kind of thing. Everybody that's ever read it is like, this is hilarious. So anyhow, that's how that started.
Well, there'll be a link to that when this show posts, so you guys can go check that book out. I think it's it totally makes me laugh that you just have this whole book of unsolicited dick pics, which is a new. Thank goodness you don't have any from me. So
I don't
post
have anybody
away.
from anybody I know.
Well, yeah, who knows? There may be now the copy and paste on the internet. But Laura,
Yeah, that's true.
thank you so much
You're
again. And we're gonna.
welcome.
What is it? Have you created a title for your new book?
The new book I have is based on my day job. It's called Training for Older Age. Please just do something. Because, and I'm writing it kind of the way I talk to my patients every day. You know, I have people in 70s, 80s, whatever, and they're like, how'd this happen to me? And I'm like, because you did nothing
Hmm.
for decades. If you want to get off the toilet at 80, start doing some squats now. That's all I can tell you. You know, and people, because your body's just, they don't, we don't stay level. We either get better or worse. And if you do nothing, your muscle mass and your strength just diminishes to where like you are like people, they're 75 years old and they're like, I can't get up a flight of stairs. And I'm like, well, did you ever? And they're like, what happened? So anyhow, it's just a very kindergarten class for like, I've done nothing and I need to start. Here you go. And why? And
Obviously with a twinge of humor.
more than a twinge, probably.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Oh, this is awesome. Thank you so much again, Laura. I really appreciate this.
Well, thank you.
After this, I'll follow up with you. Please send me the links that you want. All your friends can watch it and people can watch, because I think we're going to learn a lot about Dr. Laura Hayden. So thank you again so much.
Be scared. Be very scared.